Welcome back, All Things Outdoors Ohio. Today's going to be a simple video about how to prep before deer season. I'm just going to include a few simple tips that I like to use and what I like to do before my deer season starts. So to start, you obviously have to scout for your deer. Some things what you're looking for when you're scouting are definitely heavy used trails. You got to find where the deer are working through, where they're coming from, some highways for them. You like to find food, obviously, where they're eating, where they're getting their food sources from. If you have a food plot, that's obviously a great place to start. If you have places like clover, they love to eat clover. They love to eat the acorns and the nuts in the woods. There's several food sources that these deer could be using during this time of the year and right before season. Another thing you can look for is rubs from past rut season. You can find where the deer travel, where the bucks have traveled through there, and where they like to go during rut, which starts at the end of October and beginning of November. So that's always another good option. Look for those rubs. See where those deer could possibly be bedding, and those highways should lead right through those areas. Your next step would be trail cams. For me, I don't have much time during hunting season. I never really have had much time during deer season, so I get my cameras out as soon as I can. Whenever I get the opportunity, I go out there and I have 2 cameras, and I just go and place them where I think the deer are going to be located. So trail cameras are definitely important. You want to find, like I said, those heavy trails. Put one on a heavy trail. Put one on where you think they're eating or the food sources that they have. That would tell you a lot, obviously. Trail cameras are a huge advantage. Trail cameras are really important, and it's something that I like to get out early just to see where these deer are and how they're moving right before season. So another thing to look at is your corn piles or your mineral piles. So for me, I like to find where the deer are, and then I put corn there. So there's a few ways you can put corn out. You can simply just dump a bag and let the deer find it themselves, or you can make a simple gravity feeder. Like I've used a gravity feeder for a couple years now, and I really like it. They obviously burn through it just like they do any other corn, but I like it simply because I can take the cap off and it feeds itself. You don't have to worry about a battery powered feeder because the battery would die or something went wrong in the settings. I like a gravity feeder simply because as soon as the corn is eaten from the bottom, more corn falls, and I don't have to worry about if the deer are being fed or not. And once you get your corn pile out, or your feeder or your gravity feeder, you obviously want to stick a trail camera on it. You want to see that these deer are adapting to that feeder or the corn pile. It's going to take a minute for the deer to adapt. It's obviously something new. So give them some time, let them find the corn, let them find the food, and let them start working in more frequently. Once they realize there's a constant food source there and you keep up to it and you put the corn out when it's empty and it needs to be filled, these deer are going to go there. And they know the corn's there, so they're going to come back. So once you have your trail camera and your corn pile set up, you want to be ready to put a stand in. For me, I like to get my stands up early just because, once again, it gives deer time to adapt to it. Obviously, they know their surroundings and know when something's not right. Find out that these deer are frequently visiting this corn, and I know I have a chance to get a deer. I'm going to set my stand up. All you really need is a sturdy tree. Once you find a good tree, you want to make sure the stand is safe. Obviously, there's no issues with the straps or anything. You want to get your stand up, preferably with somebody to help you. It's never really safe to do it with one person. But once you get your stand up, watch and make sure that you're not just wide open. Don't go up and take all the limbs out that are covering you. Just take enough limbs out so you have shooting lanes. If you just sit out there in the open, it's more of a chance they're going to see you. Just the slightest movement and those deer are going to see you. You may be 15 to 20 feet up in a tree, but I promise you, any little thing, these deer will see you. So that's my main tip with tree stands, is once you find a good, sturdy, healthy tree, make sure you don't take out all your cover. Keep a limb here and there that can keep you trapped in and give you a little bit of camouflage, but make sure you have those good shooting lanes, especially to your corn pile or whatever food plot you choose to use. So those are a few simple tips and tricks that I like to use to prep before deer season. Obviously, you got to do your scouting. Hopefully by now you've done your scouting and you know where the deer are. Then you're able to put your trail cameras out. You'll like to cover your property corner to corner just to see where these deer are. Once you find these deer, it's going to be really simple to have them adapt to your corn. So like I said, I like to use a gravity feeder just because I don't have to rely on the battery. And if the battery dies or something goes wrong with the technical stuff, then I know that there's still corn being distributed. And then once you got all your corn piles and you got deer on camera, it's time to set up your tree stand. So obviously you want to put your tree stand in a good sturdy tree where you can trust it, and you got to make sure you have good straps and make sure they're not tore or have any frays in them, because that's obviously very dangerous. And once you go to hang your stand, make sure you have a buddy that's on the bottom. It's always good to have someone there below watching. Always good having someone in the bottom just to watch you and make sure everything's going safe. And finally, once you get in the tree, make sure you're not completely open, because the deer are going to see the slightest movement. Make sure you still have a few limbs here and there to cover you in, but you make sure you also have your shooting lanes. You want to have your shooting lanes, especially at your corn piles or your feeders or wherever food plot you're at. Make sure you have a few shooting lanes, obviously, because you never know what a deer is going to do. So those are the things I like to do before deer season, how I like to prep for them. I hope these few simple tips helps you guys. I know these aren't most in-depth tips or the most descriptive things for you guys, but this is what I do. This is coming from a guy that doesn't have much time during deer season, but I do what I can, and this is what I've done in the past. I've been fortunate enough to bag a nice buck and see multiple deer. So I hope these few tips and tricks helps you, and so I hope these few tips and tricks help you guys with your upcoming deer season prep, and it helps you get to that buck or deer that you guys are looking for. So as always, if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, follow our social medias, and as always, thanks for watching.